For the last many days, since the arrest of actor Darshan, is popularly called the challenging star among his Kannada fans, there have been a lot of questions about why he was taken into custody and what's his link, what's his role in the murder of a youngster who seemingly didn't know Darshan or his wife, Pavitra Gowda, who's also in custody. Now, we've got details of exactly why Darshan has been arrested, because according to the police, it was Darshan's henchmen who hit repeatedly Renukaswamy and beat him to death. And according to the cops, Darshan himself also allegedly whipped the victim with a belt when he and his wife visited that very spot where his aides were thrashing victim Renukaswamy. So what exactly transpired? Why did Darshan go after this particular man? Let's break down all the details we have so far.
Section 144 has been imposed at Annapurneshwari Nagar police station in Bengaluru. Murder accused super actor Darshan Thugadipa and his second wife Pavitra Gowda are in police custody in this very police station for the brutal killing of Renukaswamy. There has been overcrowding in the area, while in different parts of Karnataka, people are protesting against the gruesome murder of a fan by the superhero.
Police have gone and done their job. They're doing their job. I think we should let them do their job. I think people should have faith, and I don't see, any kind of influence working, especially in these kind of cases. If he's responsible, he should face the consequences.
Collywood's superstar Darshan allegedly hired henchmen to kidnap Renukaswamy. His fan, the 30-year-old driver, allegedly sent abusive messages to box office sultan's second wife Pavitra Gowda. Renukaswamy was brought from his hometown Chitradurga to Bengaluru on 8th June by local fan club head Raghavendra. He was then taken to a car shed used in RR Nagar. Hired goons beat him up. In the afternoon, Collywood superstar Darshan and his second wife Pavitra Gowda reached the shed. In the presence of the actors, the hired men beat up Renukaswamy violently, allegedly to impress the star couple. Renukaswamy is slammed against the wall. Police investigations reveal that an angry Darshan then whipped Renukaswamy with a belt repeatedly. As the star couple leave the shed, the goons continue to beat up the victim with rods. He dies. When the actor is informed about his death, the goons get money to dump his body and cover up his involvement. This sounds like a real plot that has been unraveling in reality. Bureau Report, India Today.
And I'd like to now bring in on this broadcast Mr. Anil Babu, who is representing actor Darshan. He is his lawyer right now in the case that's ongoing in Bengaluru courts. Mr. Anil Babu, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Very, very serious, grave charges against your clients, against Mr. Darshan. What's Darshan's version of events, of what's played out?
Yeah, very good evening, Ramiji here. The very first, I just want to bring to all the media thing is, first everybody telling that she is the second wife. Pavitra Gowda is the second wife. That is the utter false, and it is a false statement also. Just she is a friend before, actually she was working as an actress. Okay, just having only a friendly relationship, nothing else. The only wife is that the first wife, Vijay Lakshmi, is the first wife. No second marriage was happened at any point.
So Pavitra, Pavitra is Darshan's friend, nothing more.
The rumors, what was happened. Darshan, nothing more. That is the one most important. All the media, just I want to request the media people that don't tell that she's a second wife.
Sure, we understand.
Only the Vijay Lakshmi is the first wife, and she is the only one.
Okay, okay. But let's talk now about the charges, sir. The charges against Darshan in this particular case.
Yeah, madam. Yeah. Okay, the charges against in this particular case is a Darshan and other 17 others is a section IP the 302 and 201 of the Indian Penal Code. Section 302 is the murder and 301 disappearance of the evidence.
No, but in such a case, what is
Darshan,
Darshan's
actually,
version
Pavitra
here?
Gowda, she was arraigned as accused. Darshan, no, he is telling, no, Darshan version, actually, he is telling as of very first day when I met, actually, he informed that he is very innocent in the offense. Just, he is very, he was not at all present at the time of the alleged incident. That is the most important, and maybe whatever happened, even he doesn't know what exactly happened also. Only when he got arrested on the 11th only, he just came to know that the things what all happened, he just came to know on that time only, and at the time of the arrest only.
Does he know the victim, sir? Does he know Mr. Renuka Swamy?
No, he doesn't know the victim also.
Okay, in such a case, there's CCTV
Actually,
footage that shows on the day of the murder, sir. Darshan's car was seen in the CCTV footage going into the shed where the Renuka Swamy was allegedly assaulted and killed. What about that CCTV footage?
No. Yeah, that the CCTV footage, we doesn't know. Actually, they're showing us in the Darshan car. Even till it is not yet confirmed. Actually, that car which belongs to maybe belongs to the Darshan. Actually, but he was not at all present at the inside the car or on the spot also.
You're
that
saying he
after
wasn't
the final
there.
report, the investigation is going on. Once after we get the final report only, we can say that he was present. Now, at this point of time, definitely we will say that he is not at all present inside the car.
Okay, he wasn't in the car, but then someone was using his car. That means that his aides were involved.
He was
Because
not
according
in
to
the
the
car.
police,
No,
these
he
were
was
his
not in the
henchmen.
car. Maybe it may belongs to the Darshan car. Yeah, maybe police. That is the police version.
No, sir. Someone has to be using Darshan's car. If not Darshan, it has to be someone known
That
to
is
him.
the police version. That is the Polish one. Yeah, that. No, that one actually investigation is going on. So they were into the custody. Let me see. We will wait for the report. What exactly the police people will submit to the court. Whether that car belongs to the first question is whether that car belongs to Darshan. That has to be identified. Has to collect the document. If it is so, also secondly, he has to say that the Darshan was present inside the car. That is the most important.
Are
No,
you
even
saying
we
this-
doesn't know. Even we have not got any document. Also, we are not the PIO.
Okay, so far in court, Mr. Babu,
Yeah,
what's
ma'am.
the
Pardon?
evidence that's been produced by the police against Darshan? In the previous hearing that happened a day ago, was there any evidence that the police provided
No.
against Darshan?
No. Only they filed only FIR. That was FIR registered on the 9th morning. Okay, that again is the unknown persons. Okay, after seeing the dead body, only the police people registered the FIR on unknown persons. That is unknown persons. Then thereafter, when they were producing before the court on 12/11. Actually, they have not produced any documents or any evidences. Only on a prima facie, they have filed a remand application requesting for the police custody for 14 days. So, we objected strongly also. So, they are given a custody for the further investigations for 6 days. Nothing
And
else, no documents.
is Darshan
Prima
willing
facie
to
that they
cooperate
were-
right now with the
Actually,
investigation?
they-
Because you're saying he's maintaining he has nothing to do with this case. He has nothing to do with the victim or the case.
Definitely, he is cooperating in all extent.
Okay, he's cooperating in all extent. But the other issue, I mentioned
If
the
he would have,
CCTV
you know,
footage, sir.
definitely he will cooperate.
The other
Yes,
issue,
yes.
the other issue is about alleged destruction of evidence. Now, here's where the police has claimed that Darshan paid money to the other accused to hush up the case, to get rid of the body of Renuka Swamy and to ensure that his name isn't dragged into this case.
Yeah, that one I just want to be clear. Very first thing is want to be clear is first of all the Darshan is not at all involved in this case. Okay, then no question of arises whether who has paid, whether they paid the amount, whether the amount was part of. He doesn't know anything about that matter. Our contention is not at all present. He doesn't know what the incident or regarding the payment, whatever. It's nothing to do in all those things. That's the only the allegations against the Darshan.
No, but there is evidence, and there's evidence in the CCTV footage that we're seeing of Darshan's car near the shed where Renuka Swamy was attacked, which you're also not
No,
able
that
to explain to
evidence,
me, sir, of how his car is close by. If he wasn't
No,
driving
no,
it, who
that
was
is-
driving
no,
it?
no,
Someone
even-
known to Darshan should have been driving it then. That's one. Second is that all of these people
No,
are
that-
reportedly known
yeah,
to Darshan, all
true.
the other
Yeah,
accused.
That is true. That's true. Actually, that one only. Right now we can't tell anything else. So whether the darshan was inside the car or not, that we have to identify. Only we will come to know only after the investigation is completed. Till then we can't tell. As per the version, as per that are all the versions of the department. The police IO, he is watching he is traveling inside the car. There is no document. There is no proof to say that he was inside the car and he was driving the car. And even if otherwise also whether the car belongs to him or not, that has to be identified. That has to be identified in accordance. Yes.
Okay. The car, yes, we see in the shed. We can't see who's inside, I agree. But call record details, mobile network shows that Darshan was at that spot, that he was there along with all the other accused. Again, more evidence.
No, actually no. Regarding the call records and all, till today we have not got any call records and all. That it is to be revealed at the time of the evidence, at the time of the filing of the charge sheet only. Till that time I can't tell anything else, so whether he was there or not. Even that document, that part of the document also, I think so. There is not given to the any media also. It is only on the media persons. What they were doing is they were built up in the story and they were creating something and all.
So come on, we're not making this up out of thin air. The CCTV footage, he's been arrested. His car allegedly was seen in the shed. There's call record details. How much more evidence is needed, sir?
Yes.
You are representing your client, that's fair. But to say the media is making this up is also untrue. You can look at the evidence out there. The CCTV footage is on our screens.
Well, that one, that maybe I think that let them produce before the court. No, the documents, whatever the evidence they have collected, whatever the materials on record they will collect, let them produce before the court saying that he is involved, his car is involved, he was inside the car. Let all the truth will come out once they will submit the report. Unless and until they will not reveal the things and all, we can't tell anything.
Okay, fair enough. That's your legal strategy. Mr. Anil Babu, thank you for joining us here on India Today. Representing Darshan there, Mr. Babu telling us that Darshan at this point maintains that he's completely innocent. Thank you, sir. All right, let's now, in fact, bring in Sagai Raj, who's joining us live on this broadcast. He's been tracking all the details of the investigation. Sagai, good evening. You heard what Mr. Anil Babu has said. His version, or at least this is what he says, Darshan maintains, is that he has no clue about who the victim is. He wasn't there in the shed when the victim allegedly was assaulted and beaten to death. The police's version is completely different from that.
Absolutely, and advocate is doing his job. Darshan is his client and he is trying to defend him. And we need to understand how the police cracked this particular case. And if you notice, this was an unidentified body on 9th near Kamakshi Palya. Nobody knew who was he, what was he, and why the murder has happened. Someone has dumped the body there. And voluntarily 2 people come forward and surrendered themselves, saying that they have murdered him because they had financial disputes with Renuka Swamy. And thereafter, police confiscate their mobiles as a part of their investigation. When police confiscate their mobile, when they see the call records, when they see the calls made by these accused, that's when the police realize that there is a huge network behind him, there is an influential person, there is an actor behind him. And that's when they started to investigate and they remanded these guys inside the police station. And that's when these accused who came forward and confessed, saying that they have done the murder, who took the blame on them, said that yes, it is my brother and my sister-in-law who have done this, but they have asked not to reveal their names. On behest of them, we came here and surrendered themselves in front of police to accept the crime. And thereafter, police goes ahead and collects the circumstantial evidences. What are the circumstantial evidences? Circumstantial evidences are the CCTV footage where they check the vehicle movements, and later on they check the mobile network, they check the call records, the messages shared between Darshan and their associates, as well as the accused who surrendered themselves. So after that, when they come to a conclusion, that's when they arrest a person like Darshan. Arresting a person like Darshan, who is an actor, who has a huge fan following, is not a joke. They have done their homework. They have collected enough evidences against him. And thereafter, when they come to a conclusion, yes, he has involved in murder and there are enough evidence to prove that Darshan has been arrested, that's when they went to Mysore and arrested him. Now, they are trying to recreate the crime scene. They are trying to collect the statement from all the accused, including Darshan and Pavitra Gowda, involved in this crime. to ensure that everything matches. And talking about Renuka Swami was a fan of Darshan. And remember, this is the plight of a fan who gets murdered by his own idol.
You know, interesting story. There's no doubt about that. And you're right in pointing out that cops most definitely would have done their due diligence before going ahead and arresting a big star like Darshan, knowing full well the consequences of making such a high-profile arrest. Now, based on what Sagai is telling us, this case against Darshan is definitely firming up. The next court hearing, we'll know what kind of evidence really the police has managed to gather. Sagai, thanks very much for joining us. I just want to sum up what Sagai has told us about the kind of allegations right now against Darshan. Very, very serious charges that he faces. And if evidence does build up against him, this is going to be serious trouble that the star finds himself in. The first charge that the police have leveled against him is that he allegedly plotted the murder of Renuka Swami, of the victim. And not just that, Darshan had visited the crime scene. This was a shed in Bengaluru. Remember, the victim was abducted from Chitradurga, brought to Bengaluru, and was kept in a shed along with several of Darshan's henchmen, his alleged aides. Darshan then came to that crime scene, and according to the cops, and they saw call record details to identify that, yes, he was there at that particular spot. According to them, he didn't just come by to see what was happening. He actually thrashed the victim himself, whipped out his belt and beat up the victim, Renuka Swami. He was accompanied, allegedly, by Pavitra Gowda as well in that shed. Then, after that, Darshan paid the henchmen to take the blame as well. Now, he paid them to go ahead and first assault the victim. And then, when he died of the grievous injuries that he'd sustained, Darshan allegedly paid 30 lakhs to cover up the murder, to get rid of the body and to get rid of any of the evidence that was seen that he or any of his aides were actually linked to this particular case. 30 lakh rupees was paid with a promise that more money will be given once the trial is completed if Darshan's name doesn't emerge. But clearly his plan went awry. He's now in police custody as the investigation in this particular case is concerned. And with every passing day, as details emerge of this investigation, more murky details are coming out. And one big question remains. What was the motive behind this crime? The allegation is that the victim was murdered in this manner, beaten to death, because he'd put out some messages on social media against Pavitra Gowda, lewd messages, allegedly. But for a star who faces endless online trolling, unfortunately, it's a part and parcel of what they see online every other day. Would they really be triggered by just some messages on social media? That's why questions loom right now. What exactly was the motive behind this crime? And we're going to continue tracking it very, very closely here on India Today. A high-profile case, high-profile names, the who's who of Bengaluru allegedly involved in this murder. Let's get you details now of Chandrababu Naidu's day one in the CM chair. Naidu started off his day by visiting Tirumala this morning to seek blessings, so kicking off the day on an auspicious note. And then it was down to work, down to business. He's back in the CM's chair in Amravati and first off gave his consent to 5 files. What were these files? The first was the Mega District Selection Committee, which means that he was giving a big push to jobs. He also has repealed the controversial Land Titling Act, something that was promised again by TDP. They said that if they come to power, they will repeal this Jagan-introduced act. Now, Chief Minister Naidu also increased the pension by 4,000 rupees and has reintroduced the Anna canteens, very similar to the Amma canteens in Tamil Nadu. He's also given the nod for a skill development center. So these are the files that he signed off on day one. Now, interestingly, this morning when he visited Tirumala Tirupati, Chandrababu Naidu also announced that he will begin an administrative cleanse from Tirumala. After visiting the temple, he emphasized that he's committed to eliminating corruption and protecting Hindu Dharma in Tirumala. Let's play out for you that comment from Chandrababu Naidu that's got everyone talking.
Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanamtone Prarambham Devali Prakshalana. ఈ పవిత్రమైన దివ్యక్షేత్రాన్ని అపవిత్రం చేయడం భావ్యం కాదు. తెల్లవారుజామున 3 గంటలకు సుప్రభాత దర్శనానికి వస్తే వైకుంఠం అంటే మనకు తెలియదు. పుస్తకాలను చదువుతాం, వైకుంఠానికి పోవాలని కోరుకుంటాం చనిపోయిన తర్వాత. ఆ సమయంలో ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి వెంకటేశ్వర స్వామి దర్శనం చేసుకుంటే వైకుంఠంలో ఉన్న అనుభూతిని కలుగుతుంది. వేరే వ్యక్తి జ్ఞాపకం రాకూడదు. ఆ పేరుతోనే మొత్తం పరిష్కారం చేస్తాం.
All right, so that is Chandrababu Naidu speaking about the cleanse of Tirumala Tirupati, saying that there's a whole lot of rot administratively that we will take care of and deal with. Apurva Jayachandran is joining us with more details on the story. Apurva, what did day one for Chandrababu Naidu look like? He signed off on a whole bunch of files, largely issues and promises that were made by Chandrababu Naidu, saying if we come to power, we will act on all of these fronts, and that's exactly what they've done on day one.
Well, that's it, Akrita. In fact,
all right, apologies. We will reconnect.
We are getting to learn is that 5 major bills were signed by Mr. Naidu. In fact, this includes some of the poor promises that they had promised, like, increasing the pension to rupees 4,000 rupees, re-establishment of the Anna canteens, as well as, signing the letter to deploy a skill development center. Remember, Mr. Naidu had clearly been talking about how the state of Andhra Pradesh requires a lot of development in terms of skill development centers and for education boost and employment opportunities. And this was one of the first signatures that he had put forth. 5 major, signatures that had been signed today, including that of the poll promises that had been promised by Mr. Naidu. And today, in fact, this was right after his Tirumala Darshan there. He had gone to Tirumala early this morning. He had Srivari Darshan. Following which he and his family returned back to Vijayawada. They were welcomed grandly, even as Naidu went ahead to resume office there today. He was welcomed with a grand welcome there by the public of Andhra Pradesh. And
correct. So it was a mega show of strength that we saw in Vijayawada as well. And as he made his way into Amravati, where he signed those files. Thanks very much, Apurva, for those details. Prime Minister Modi is going to be heading to Italy any moment now, boarding a plane from the national capital. And we'll get you those images as and when it comes in. But let's put out for you the departure statement that's coming from the Prime Minister on what to expect in his visit to Italy for the G7 summit. I'm reading out of the statement. The Prime Minister has said, at the invitation of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, I'm travelling to Apulia region in Italy to participate in the G7 outreach summit. I'm glad that my first visit in the 3rd consecutive term is to Italy for the G7 summit. The Prime Minister, in the statement, a detailed letter where he's spoken about what really he aims to accomplish by visiting Italy as part of the G7 summit, also says, and let me read out another important part of this particular statement. He said, I warmly recall my visit to Italy for the G20 summit in 2021. Prime Minister Meloni's 2 visits to India last year were instrumental in infusing momentum and depth in our bilateral agenda. We remain committed to consolidate the India-Italy strategic partnership and bolster cooperation in the Indo-Pacific and Mediterranean regions. So that is the statement that's come in from Prime Minister Modi as he's all set to take off to head to Italy, his first foreign visit after taking oath as the Prime Minister of the country for a 3rd term. And significant visit considering that you're going to be seeing a bilateral with the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and also besides that there could be meetings with the US President Joe Biden as well. So it will be important to see what are really the takeaways from all of these discussions. Let's run you through the importance of the visit and the Prime Minister being there for the G7 summit program. So this is his first major international engagement after assuming office for a 3rd term as the Prime Minister of India. So Prime Minister Modi will in fact be attending the annual G7 summit of advanced economies. The Prime Minister was extended an invite by his Italian counterpart Meloni earlier. Now, a confirmed meeting with the Italian Prime Minister is on the agenda. There's a bilateral that will be happening. This is their 2nd encounter since her visit to India in March 2023. That was during the G20 summit. Prime Minister Modi is also likely to meet with US President Joe Biden, with French President Emmanuel Macron, with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, the Brazilian President Lula, and also the UAE President Mohammed bin Zayed. All of this is on the cards. Bilaterals are likely with many of these countries. At this point, there's a big question mark, however, on whether there will be a pull-aside or any form of meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, especially looking at how currently Indian-Canadian ties stand. The G7 summit is taking place in Italy from today up till June 15th. The discussions are going to be focusing on the ongoing war in Ukraine, the conflict in Gaza as well. And there are images already coming in of the welcome that Italian Prime Minister Meloni has accorded to all the other world leaders.
The G7 summit is going to take place in the city of Fasano in Apulia, about 60 kilometers from Bari, which is where the International Media Center is. We'll be reporting from here, looking at the details of what's going to happen in the Leadership Summit level meeting, as also the outreach sessions where Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as a guest nation that India is going to speak. He's going to put India's a point of view forward. But this is a beautiful city of Bari in Italy, and we'll be bringing you all the details on the bilateral meetings, as also on what happens at the G7. In Italy, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
And let's get you all of the images of Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni playing host, welcoming all the leaders of the group of 7 nations in South Italy. This is in the Puglia region. In Bari is where the G7 summit is taking place. So Meloni was seen welcoming French President Emmanuel Macron, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, US President Joe Biden, all of them arriving for the 50th G7 summit. Meloni was seen also, interestingly, greeting the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz with a namaste. Those pictures going viral, as it was a desi welcome that Meloni catered out to many of the world leaders as they appeared there for the G7 summit. Leaders of the group of 7 countries are meeting for that 3-day summit. The Prime Minister will be there starting off tomorrow, when you will see another huddle with all of these world leaders coming together on one stage. The world's most powerful, essentially, who will be discussing several issues, but perhaps the most pressing and the most focused upon is what's happening in Ukraine and the Gaza conflict. So that's really on the agenda, besides a slew of other issues like development, climate change as well, that will be brought up. But for the Prime Minister also to choose to be a part of this G7 summit, to accept the invite from Prime Minister Meloni, speaks volumes of really Indian-Italian ties, and also the fact that the G7 summit is going to be seeing all of the most powerful leaders coming together. The summit itself has kicked off. There's already been one huddle that's happened in Puglia, which is in South Italy, where this summit is taking place. A beautiful, beautiful coastal town. So a perfect setting, essentially, for this particular meeting. You see all of those images of the warm welcome being extended by Italian Prime Minister Meloni. But we'll await, of course, the images of the welcome that she will accord to Prime Minister Modi. Tables turned, as last year it was Prime Minister Modi who welcomed her to the G20 summit, the pictures of which, needless to say, went completely viral. So everyone talking about the big melody moment, as it's very popularly called on social media, which will play out tomorrow. As remember, that the Prime Minister is actually headed to Italy on a personal invite of Prime Minister Meloni. So you're going to be seeing a lot of very, very important handshakes taking place in South Italy as well. There is a bilateral confirmed with Italy. We are hearing that there could be a meeting also, a pull-aside with US President Joe Biden, with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as well. They could also see this with French President Emmanuel Macron, but the man on your screen is Justin Trudeau. There's a big question mark of what will happen there and whether there will be any meeting. Doesn't seem likely with India, considering that right now we're seeing that freeze in Indo-Canadian ties, and it's been very, very clear that the Indian administration, that the Modi government has decided that they're going to stare Canada in the eye and push back on any aggression that comes from Canada. Any moment now, we're expecting images to also come in of Prime Minister Modi taking off from the national capital, taking off from Delhi. And there you have those images on your screen. So of Prime Minister Modi waving to all of the officials who are, in fact, waiting below there. This is at the Palam Air Base in the national capital. The Prime Minister headed now to South Italy. And then it's going to be a non-stop schedule for him of 2 days, where the Prime Minister will be in a series of very, very important meetings. The G7 summit itself is going to be a crucial one, which we will be be getting you all the details of tomorrow at 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time is when the G7 main event will take place, where the Prime Minister will also be. But besides that, several bilaterals that everyone will be watching out for. Significant, really, that the Prime Minister has chosen his first foreign trip after assuming office as the Prime Minister for his third term will be in Italy for the G7 summit. It tells you the importance, the significance of this particular summit. Geeta Mohan is joining us live right now from Bari, the location, the beautiful coastal town where the G7 summit is taking place. Geeta, at this point, the summit is already kicked off. Prime Minister Modi has just taken off from the national capital. A whole lot on the agenda for India.
Well, absolutely. This is his first visit, and like you rightly pointed out, this is going to be significant. The fact that he has chosen G7 as his first destination. You know, every time an Indian premier takes over, his first destination is normally in the neighborhood. But the fact that he got all the neighborhood countries to come for the oath taking surely gave that message out that the neighborhood always will remain a very important part of India and India's foreign policy. And the fact that G7 countries, particularly the host nation, Italy, had invited Prime Minister Modi even before the election, saying that India is a guest country this time around and the Premier should come for the G7, is the reason why we are seeing that the Indian Premier accepted that invitation, the first big event. It's a guest country that India participates as, but the fact of the matter is that this is a very important forum. G7 developed countries coming together at a time when we have conflicts across the globe, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, or for that matter, Israel-Hamas war. India does hold a very strong, hold a strong standing and position in the world, but also has a very different position on many counts from that of the West. So expect the Indian Premier to speak on the wars, about the human casualty, civilian casualty, particularly in the Israel-Hamas war. But he's also going to focus a lot on artificial intelligence, climate change. His outreach sessions are going to be very, very important. It's the outreach sessions that the guest countries participate in. So he's going to participate in those sessions. But again, there are going to be bilaterals on the sidelines of the summit, and expect the Indian Premier to meet with his Italian counterpart, Meloni. We do not know if there is anything that is prepared on the sidelines of the bilateral itself. But we do know that every time the two meet, they become the talk of the town. So let's see what happens this time around. There are likely interactions, meetings or encounters with other world leaders as well. Biden, Macron, Scholz. These are likely meetings or encounters that could take place on the sidelines of the G7. No confirmation right now on whether if he's going to meet his Canadian counterpart, given the kind of relations that the two countries have had in the recent past. It's an absolute dip in ties. And again, no confirmation on whether if he's going to meet with the president of Turkey, Erdogan. They did meet on the sidelines of the G20 in New Delhi as well. So there are a lot of bilaterals expected on the sidelines of the G7. But the significance of India right now, we see that it's a coalition government. He's coming as representing a coalition government, but a very strong leader, because India is an important country. I was speaking to the Italian ambassador to India, one of his last interviews, because he's going to go back in a couple of weeks, and he said that India is one of the most important countries who will be present at the G7 in Italy. So an important country, but it's the messaging that we'll have to see that Prime Minister Modi is carrying. What is the messaging? What's the message that he has for the developed nation and for the world? India does speak for the global south. So is it going to be an inclusive voice of the global south that he will be representing? And should he do that, what is his message really going to be? Those are the important takeaways that we will be looking out for, watching very closely what Prime Minister Modi is going to do. But in terms of the G7 and the G7 outcome, again, a crucial one, the fact that they will be looking at a growing aggressive China. and countering the assertiveness and aggression of Beijing, but more importantly, how they're going to tackle and handle the conflicts and wars.
All right, we'll track all the latest updates. Geeta Mohan getting us a live report there from South Italy, where the G7 summit is taking place. She's also confirmed for us that, yes, there will be a pull-aside, a bilateral between Prime Minister Modi and the Italian Prime Minister Meloni. So, yes, Indian netizens are going to be supremely busy come tomorrow with, of course, all of those pictures that you can expect of that meeting as well. Thanks very much, Geeta, for joining us. We'll keep connecting with you for the latest.